The jury has retired in R. Kelly's sex trafficking trial in New York, after a month of testimony regarding the star's alleged sexual abuse of men, women and underage girls. The 54-year-old is facing one charge of racketeering, which positions him as the head of a criminal enterprise that preyed on young women, and 8 counts of trafficking girls and women across state lines for prostitution. Once one of the world's biggest pop stars, Mr. Kelly was initially arrested on these charges in July 2019, but his trial was delayed because of the COVID-19 pandemic and scheduling issues with separate cases he faces in other states. In their closing arguments, prosecutors painted Mr. Kelly as a predator who destroyed the lives of people around him. He used lies, manipulation, threats and physical abuse to dominate his victims, said Assistant U.S. Attorney Elizabeth Geddes, adding that his immense wealth and fame allowed him to hide in plain sight. Mr. Kelly's lawyers sought to attack the credibility of the witnesses who accused him of sexual and physical abuse, saying their stories were manufactured or exaggerated, and casting them as opportunists cashing in on his fame.
They're monetizing. They know what the game is. They're surviving off of R. Kelly. Devereaux Cannick told the jury. Mr. Kelly, whose full name is Robert Sylvester Kelly, has pleaded not guilty on all counts but refused the opportunity to testify in his defense. If convicted, he faces between 10 years in prison and a life sentence. Here are the key moments from the trial, many of which readers may find upsetting. Mr. Kelly is not charged with rape or assault, but prosecutors have been allowed to present evidence of potential crimes related to the racketeering charge, regardless of when they occurred. As such, they have called more than half a dozen witnesses who said they were abused by Mr. Kelly while they were underage. Both male and female, they described being approached by the star or one of his associates after a concert, in a shopping mall, or in a McDonald's, and being slipped a phone number. Often, Mr. Kelly would offer to mentor their music career, they alleged, in return for sexual favors. Several witnesses claimed Kelly kept them in a constant state of fear, demanding they'd follow his stringent rules, and ordering them to call him daddy. Those who disobeyed were punished, sometimes with degrading sexual acts, they claimed. 2 women accused the star of rape. Mr. Kelly's defense portrayed the women as groupies and jilted lovers, who were seeking revenge after falling out of favor with the star. "You heard about a man who treated these women like gold," Mr. Cannick told the jury. Geronda Pace testified over the first 2 days of the trial, giving an account of her time with the singer. She said Mr. Kelly controlled what she wore, when she could eat, and whether she could use the bathroom. On one occasion, she recalled breaking Rob's rules, after which the star slapped me and choked me until I passed out, she alleged. Ms. Pace, now 28, was one of several women who spoke to the surviving R. Kelly documentary in 2019. In her testimony, she said she started having sex with the singer when she was 16. She initially told him she was older, but when she revealed the truth, he continued the relationship, instructing her to call him daddy. "He wanted me to put my hair up in pigtails and dress like a Girl Scout," she told the court. Mr. Kelly's lawyers tried to portray Ms. Pace as a superfan who reacted badly when the star lost interest in her. In cross-examination, Devereaux Cannick accused her of fabricating her story for money and fame, and of stalking his client. She denied the claims. The prosecution's second witness said she began a 5-year relationship with Mr. Kelly when she was 17 years old. Like Ms. Pace, she alleged that the singer sought to control every detail of her life, demanded that she called him daddy, and would punish her if she did not comply. The physical abuse took place nearly every 2 to 3 days, she alleged. Identified only as Jane Doe 5, the 23-year-old also told the court that Mr. Kelly urged her to get an abortion she didn't want, after she became pregnant in 2017. He said, "You need to look into that abortion stuff because you need to keep that body," she said. Mr. Kelly's former tour manager testified that he bribed a government worker to obtain a fake ID for Randy B. star Leah, who was then aged 15, so the singers could marry. Demetrius Smith, 65, said he was informed Aaliyah might be pregnant after a concert on Mr. Kelly's 1994 tour, and that they planned to get married so Mr. Kelly could avoid potential prosecution for having sex with a minor. Although Mr. Smith initially objected to the plan, he says he eventually told Mr. Kelly, "I know how to get her an ID, and that's what I did." One of the star's former backing dancers later testified that she had accidentally disturbed Mr. Kelly and Aaliyah in a sexual situation in 1993, a year before the marriage. The woman, who testified under the name Angela, said Aaliyah would have been 13 or 14 at the time, making her the youngest of his alleged victims. The minister who officiated the wedding, Nathan Edmond, also testified, saying he was unaware of who the couple were at the time. Mr. Edmond, now 73, said he was asked to sign a non-disclosure agreement after the ceremony but refused. Instead, he promised Mr. Kelly he would never speak about the wedding. He only testified at the trial under subpoena. The marriage was annulled a year after it took place. Aaliyah died in a plane crash in 2001. Mr. Kelly's lawyers described much of the testimony regarding Aaliyah as fluff. The marriage and Aaliyah's alleged pregnancy are not relevant to the charges he is facing, argued Mr. Kannick. The only pertinent question was whether Mr. Kelly tried to bribe an Illinois employee for a fake identification. Robert knew nothing about it, he said. Several women claimed they had contracted herpes after sexual intercourse with Mr. Kelly, who failed to disclose he carried the virus. One witness, known only as Jane Doe, said the condition became so bad it got to the point where I couldn't walk. She alleged the star purposely gave me something he knew he had. Another witness, Kate, said she had reached a $200,000 settlement with Mr. Kelly after contracting the disease in 2001. Mr. Kelly's longtime physician, Chris McGrath, testified that he first suspected the singer had herpes in 2000. Although tests came back negative, Dr. McGrath noted the possibility of a false negative and said he told the star to inform your sexual partners so they can make a decision whether or not to have sex with you.
Thank you for watching. Please subscribe.